So my first question for you is, how would you explain my speaker rhetoric? A tough one.
Yeah, I thought about this as a personal speaker development platform.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking about. I actually thought about this on the plane today. And yeah, that's I think it's a really cool development platform.
Okay, I like it. I like the answer. So what was your first impression when you joined our community?
I was a bit bewildered actually because I didn't know what to expect. I've heard of it, but I didn't know, and I've had too much to do during these past years, and then I started. But then when I got invited, I actually started looking around, and I thought it was really interesting, really interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, and because actually I've been with my speaker since day one. Basically, and I think it's really cool because the speaking industry can be very lonely, and they're like, obviously, since speakers used to, before COVID, go everywhere and anywhere, you never see anyone else, but that's something my speaker's done really well. And I think with this community, online community, the rhetoric community, they brought everyone together in a very time effective way.
Yeah, that's true. It did come at a convenient time. Well, what are your thoughts on the robot? How have you liked testing the robot out?
I think it's interesting. I really like all of these kind of things. And I think the more we learn from the robot, the more it learns about us. And I had a very interesting score because of my way of speaking that is influenced by a lot of things. But I thought it was really interesting to see, and especially stuff that, because since it's so systematic, it becomes kind of a no bullshit thing, where it's like filler words. This is exactly how many filler words: 78 or 22 or 58 or 142. That's too much. That's too little, according to the robot. And it gives you a lot of food for thought.
Okay.
And I really like it.
Well, that's good. Did
I don't agree with it necessarily, but I like it.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Did you agree with the results? What your weaknesses were, what your strengths were?
Well, I mean, I did a lot of thinking after the open mic session, and I just perform so much better live than when it's not live. It doesn't matter if it's for a live audience or if it's like live like this that we're doing now.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that had an effect on my score, because my score was very different compared to what the open micers thought compared to what the robot thought. But that's not a bad thing, because when you get something different, there's always something in the middle that you actually have to learn.
Yeah.
And that's where the stuff starts, is sifting out what's the lesson there.
Well, since you brought up the open mic, how have you liked that, presenting and being in the audience?
I actually dubbed the open mic session the ideal test lab for a speaker.
Okay, I agree.
And I love it. The first time I was like, okay, well, what is this and how can it, because always something new. But when I tried it and when I actually saw, and it's so cool because you get to see other people speak. And how often do you do that? And especially live? Not often at all.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool, especially once we started so the first one I was in, we didn't turn off the cameras or the mics. And you could, I think, and then you could interact a bit. But then at some point, it was during the second one I was in, we started turning off the mics and the videos. And then it became really interesting.
Okay. Because you couldn't see facial reactions and so forth.
Exactly. So it prepares you for virtual events like no other. because you know someone's there, but since it's their speakers or your colleagues, they critique you in a totally different way, which is really cool, and I like it. And there are a lot of pointers, and especially when you see someone else too, and you can like, yeah, I really like it. I really like it. And I've got like 5 different topics for another open mic session.
Okay. So you'll be talking another 5 times.
Hopefully. Yeah. I sat in the plane today, on the airplane today, and I was like, well, I could speak about that, and I could speak about that, and that'd be really cool. And that could be really cool. Because I think one thing that was really cool with the ones that we've heard is that they're all worthy of a 50-minute keynote.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And when you sit at home and you're like, well, I think this is really interesting. And then I personally don't like to gamble with a client's money to see if it actually works, right?
Okay, yeah.
Instead, I'd rather, I mean, no one, or well, few people sign up for a marathon and don't train at all and then show up and hit it out of the park, right?
Yeah.
Except I know one guy who did. Anyway, but yeah. So it's really cool that you can see, and it gives you food for thought, and I like it, and I really like it.
Oh, so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So you think it's beneficial for a lot of people than the open mic?
I think yes, it teaches you how to listen, it teaches you how to speak, and then it teaches you how to build a story in a different way, because you obviously have your personal way of telling something.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have that interaction with the audience the same way you have with an audience full of speakers who then go, that's actually really good, but dude, that is not good, or or change that, or if you can, yeah. So I think that's really cool.
And your story already has now had an impact. So like we know Mikael's gonna taking something from that. That's cool.
That was really cool. It was jaw dropping to see his comment, because I hold him to a high regard as a speaker, and I learned from him, and I really liked his way of speaking. And when he spoke, and then he made that comment that he's going back to the drawing board after he saw me, I was like, wow. So yeah, I appreciate that.
And what about Andre's course Speaker Die? Have you had a look at it? What do you think about it?
I have had a look at it, and I've heard about it a lot, and I have high hopes for it. I browsed through it, and what I really like too is that after the open, I haven't dug deep into it yet.
Yeah.
But I have I liked, and it was from the get-go with the open mic sessions where he was like, okay, well, look, that was really good, thank you very much. And then it's like, the robot says this, your peers think this, and I think this, and then he can link it directly to the Speaker Die course, where you can afterwards directly go in and look, oh, okay, yeah, that's what he meant, cool, look at that, and then there we go. And then and I think it's like, finally the development of a speaker comes full circle.
That's true. Yeah, actually, they all link very well together.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing. So I have high hopes for it, and I'm sure there's going to be no disappointment. I'm really sure.
That's good to hear. So how have you liked being a member of the community overall?
I've liked it so much that I've invited my own people. And I think that's the only sign of, or stamp of approval. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. Oh, good way of putting it. Yep. Yeah, and I've sent the invites off to them. So.
Thank you. But yeah, I think often there's the fact that there is no place for you to develop unless you call up a friend and go, look, you're a speaker too, how about you join me? And then we spar. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. I couldn't even find the word. Spar. Yeah.
But now you don't have to do it. You can just log into MySpeaker, the Red or Rich community, almost every Thursday for the open mic.
Yeah.
And you can do it.
And we've gotten feedback that people would like to have it weekly. So, do you feel that way?
Yes. Yeah, I think especially during these COVID times, it becomes so interrupted. It doesn't matter if it's speaking or if it's life or if it's whatever.
Yeah.
I think that continuity is really important. And that's why a weekly session would not be a bad thing. Definitely not.
I think once we automate the process with the big six and so forth, then we can hold them weekly because then other people can host them. So.
Yeah. Actually, that would be a cool thing too, that a member of the community would host them, like that'd be a cool thing too. And then because I think that's kind of the next step is because if you're a speaker, you might be interested in moderating or hosting too.
Yeah.
And then you can, yeah.
I think you're onto something there.
I don't want to take your job away though. Don't. But
No.
But I think that would be really cool.
I agree. Well, you've answered all my questions. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Speak or die. That's it. Yeah. Speak or die. Join the community. And what I too like about the community is that you don't have to be an active member in the sense where you actually speak all the time. No, absolutely not. I think this community, hopefully it will attract people that might have thought about speaking, or then heck, let's, why don't we, if we have speakers and then we have coaches that come from that community too,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
And we're really happy to have you in the community.
I'm happy to be a part of the community. Man, that's awesome. Yeah. Looking forward to the next open mic, by the way. I think that's next week, isn't it?
Yes, next Wednesday. Yeah.